Todd, I'm really excited to be talking with you because I got to watch Chrissy Judy, and I gotta say it was one of the funniest and also realistic movies I got to see this year. And you just pulled off a brilliant performance, and the fact that you even directed the film, I mean, it just shows what a powerhouse you are in front and behind the camera. So great job on this movie.
Oh, thank you so much. And thanks for having me on. I really appreciate being here.
So where did the idea for the movie come from?
Um, I always hesitate to say that the movie's autobiographical because I'm not a drag queen. But I started writing the film in like 2018, when I left New York City, which was my home of about 13 years, to move to Philadelphia to pursue a little romance. Um, and yeah, I think when I was there, I just really wanted to honor and explore these like friendships, these really intense, wonderful friendships that I had had in my 20s. Um, I love queer cinema. I just feel like we never really get to explore queer friendship as much as we explore other aspects of what it is to be gay in America. And I wanted to just like give a little window into what it's like to have these really intense friendships with other people that aren't sexual relationships and how they play out. So that's where it all started from.
I find it interesting. Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, that's what I really liked about the film because a lot of these LGBTQ films, they always involve some sort of romance or something along the lines of like
Like
that
coming out
relationship.
story or yeah, something. Yeah.
Yeah, but here it's like I felt this is why I loved it so much. It felt like I like the fact that your character loses his best friend and he has to find himself in New York City, and you try so hard to start these, try to jumpstart these other friendly relationships, and they always don't go as planned, obviously. But I
Yeah, I
like
think it's
it.
like
It felt realistic to me.
thank you. Yeah, I think it's a really common occurrence and I think it's really universal. That's why I mean I think that's why we've done so well in the festival circuit this year and why we were able to get distribution on such a small tiny film, especially one that is like considered a genre film, because I think most people who watch it can see a little bit of themselves in it or recall a relationship that they had that maybe didn't evolve the way that they hoped it would have. Um, and yeah, I think that there's something for everyone in this film. But I think we've all kind of been either the Chrissy or the Judy, where we have someone in our life who isn't helping us move forward, or we have someone in our life who's keeping us from really like moving forward ourselves.
Right.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, and one thing, and that's what I liked. You and Wyatt Fenner had such great chemistry, and it felt like not just best friends, but you're more like brothers in a way.
Mm,
That's the relationship I thought. I thought it was more like a brotherly relationship.
I love that.
It was like losing like your older brother, to life because you all, not just best friends, but like you were close, almost like brothers practically.
Yeah, there's a really interesting type of grief that happens when you don't lose someone physically, but rather you lose them. You know, I should say when you don't lose someone to death, but rather lose someone to circumstances that are sometimes in and sometimes out of your control. Yeah, we were so lucky that Wyatt Fenner came on board. He is a brilliant actor. Um, People ask us all the time, how long we've known each other, and really, we had done a reading of a play together. That's how I knew of Wyatt, and obviously he's a very talented actor. So when we approached him about playing the part, um, it was such a no-brainer on our end, and he really loved the script and jumped in, but we didn't really have any rehearsal. He and I had like quite a number of phone calls just to kind of really cement and develop the characters, but he's just so immensely talented and generous on screen that it really helped to, create that feeling that our closeness went beyond, even a decades long friendship.
It does. It felt that's how it felt, and I like the fact that your character going through this loss, you're trying to find a way to reinvent yourself, and you come across all these other circumstances like losing your drag show, and
Mhm.
then I gotta say one of my favorite scenes was the dance scene where you're learning how to dance and the hip hop and how your timing is so off, and the choreographer just like makes fun of you, calling you like Blondie. You need to get by hitting hip hop before jumping back in. And I just those comebacks were just hysterical. that to be one of my favorite scenes in the movie because it was just
Oh, thanks.
so slash. It reminded me of like slapstick comedy practically.
Oh yeah. Well, we were actually so lucky for that because I don't know if you remember the group Scissor Sister, but they had this really famous song in the like early mid 2000s called Let's Have a Kiki, which became like this really gay anthem. And Brad Landers, who was our choreographer, actually choreographed that song. So when we were setting up and doing all the rehearsals, and I was sort of jumping back and forth between the camera, he was spending time with the dancers, and at a certain point was like, "Do you want to jump in and learn this combo?" I was like, "No, I want to look like a complete idiot." So yeah, so I think I like he went over it with me like maybe once or twice, just so I wasn't totally like out of the camera's focus, but yeah, it was funny, and he was so great to work with. There were so many people who came on board for this for like, as a favor, just because they loved the story, and it really shows in the work. I think it's a real labor of love, this film, and I think that's what people really connect to is like seeing the joy everyone has on screen.
Yeah, definitely. And then the scenes where you go to Philadelphia to reunite with, your best friend,
Mm,
and things don't go as planned, obviously. And I think that's like the pivotal scene where everything comes together. And this is where you finally start to find yourself at that moment. Like you didn't know
yeah.
what. Then you finally like, I gotta find a new identity, and you finally get to reinvent yourself. It was that moment. I feel like that was so amazingly done.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, the saying is true. Like when you're at rock bottom, there's nowhere to go but up. And I think we had to see Judy get to that point where it feels like there's no moving forward with Chrissy in order for Judy to kind of really take stock of, who he is and where he is in life and how to build from that, um, build from zero.
Yeah, and thankfully, and you only have like one love scene in the film, and that was pretty. It didn't go as planned, obviously, as we know in the
Mhm.
movie. But I came across a recent film, Lonesome, and that was like really gratuitous, but still a really good romantic story in a way. But yours was more. Yours was definitely tastefully done, and then we
Oh,
saw the
thanks.
aftermath. We saw the
What?
aftermath of what happened.
Well, it had to be tasteful because my brother was our cinematographer, so there were definitely some there were some concessions that had to be made about what we would show and not show. But I thank you. I think I think that a lot of times in queer culture we throw in these sex scenes because it's part of how we identify. So we feel like we have to show that side of ourselves. And for a long time it was really important to show all those things on film because it's a window into our life, and I kind of wanted to show the foibles, I guess, that can happen and come along with the messiness, literally, of gay sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, for LGBTQ cinema, I mean, over the past couple of years, it's really risen. I really feel like it's really risen above,
Oh
not
yeah.
just with romance, like all different genres now. And I feel like it's becoming a major trend now. And I'm glad that as a straight ally of the LGBTQ community, I'm so glad that it's now getting its due, like getting well known. And thanks to films like your film and Lonesome and last year's Potato Dreams of America.
Oh, so
That's a
good, right?
Yeah, that was a good one. I even talked to Wes Hurley. He was a great guy to talk to, and
You did.
the fact that it was autobiographical even stunned me even more.
Oh yeah. Did you ever see the doc that he made that it was based on?
No, I haven't seen the documentary, but seeing
It-
that movie was
yeah.
really good as well. But I'm glad that LGBTQ films are now rising above, and you
Yeah,
know,
I think what's amazing is like we live in this very connected digital age now. So it's really helped us to connect and find our communities even faster than we did even like 10 years ago. And I think because of that, we're constantly looking for ways to see ourselves represented beyond what we already have. And I think that I feel very fortunate that we were able to make this film. I want to continue making films like this. And I think now we know that there is a space for them, which is great.
definitely. And I like the fact you used black and white for this film. It felt like
Mhm.
it was like watching Clerks, where everything was black and white, and it just brought like but that was also a realistic comedy of sorts in a way. But so it brought, like, if I think of realism, I think of a black and white film sometimes because of, in today's
Yeah,
age
like
how real.
strips away everything else. All you have is the characters and the dialogue, and it really like centers your focus.
Yeah, and it makes the story a lot better also in terms of, what you're trying to, the message you're trying to convey in it. I think it also helps.
Thank you.
So finally, so you did say you want to do more of these films. Do you have another one in the works that you can talk about?
Yeah, so I there's not a release date yet. I did a film in the fall just as an actor, so that was nice not wearing so many hats. Marco Calvani is this really brilliant Italian director, and so I got to work on his newest film called Best Place. Marissa Tomei is in it, and Bill Irwin, and just some other really phenomenal actors. So I haven't seen it yet, so I'm very excited to see where it gets its premiere. It should be coming out soon. And then, yeah, I just finished writing my next feature film, so I know how long these things take to make. I would love to be
Yeah,
in production in the next year or so, but I'll remain hopeful. But I don't know when that'll get off the ground. Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, everyone, I'm telling everyone right now, you need to see Chrissy Judy. I think it's
Oh, thank you.
definitely highly recommended. It's a great, wonderful film. It takes the LGBTQ cinema to a different course, but such a great one. And it's all about friendships, finding yourself when you lose someone, and reinvention. And I gotta tell you, man, Todd is definitely a genius in front and behind the cameras. He did such a spectacular job. And thank you so much again for taking the time to talk about it.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me on. It was a real pleasure.
All right. Well, everyone, we'll see you next time. Take care.
Bye.